Have you cleaned out your stables recently? Because you have to, because BM Beast Mastery, the one, the only, the Pets Bonanza, the 2-button spec, whatever you want to call it, is on the Dragonflight Alpha, and it might surprise you with what it can do. It sure did surprise me, and it might, in the current situation, might become one of my favorite hunter specs, which hasn't happened in like 4 years. So we'll see, and you will see if you keep watching this video, because we are going to cover pretty much everything that we can related to Beast Mastery on Alpha. And if you want to support our channel and you like this type of content, you want to see more of it coming into the future as well, consider becoming a Patreon. The link is down below. You can check our Patreon page. You'll see if there's something there for you. Maybe there isn't, but maybe there is, and maybe you decide to support us. No matter how much you decide to contribute, we will be super grateful. It does actually help us out to make daily content such as this, on top of everything else that we do with the streams, with the podcast, with the class guides and the tier lists and everything like that. It helps us make all of this with proper quality, proper sound, proper video, proper lights, proper cameras, and all of that proper stuff. So if you like our content, consider becoming one of our patrons, and we would love you for it. Thank you very much, and let's actually talk about Beast Mastery. And if you have been paying attention to the alpha, you'll notice that Hunter has been one of the most changed and feedbacked and rechanged class so far on alpha, and it's probably still one of the buggiest where most of the things don't work. So pretty much what we're going to be talking about today will be strictly from my point of view. It is more or less subjective, so I could be wrong, you know, pinch of salt and all that good stuff. However, there are a bunch of things that it seems like right now it gets clearer and clearer what the devs are trying to do with Beast Mastery. So maybe we can take a closer look at it and kind of figure out exactly where it's going, because to be honest with you, with all the issues that we're going to be talking about, I'm actually kind of hopeful about Beast Mastery. But let's not dilly-dally too much and talk about the general talent trees, which is actually kind of good. I mean, I haven't particularly noticed any talents that I couldn't get to, any path that I couldn't complete, any obstacles particularly egregious. It's probably way worse for survival than it is for Beast Mastery, but as far as Beast Mastery is concerned, you have a lot of options, a lot of things we can do if you go to the bottom of the talent tree where all the capstones and abilities are. Obviously, the utility and the minor buffs and the more movement speed and pet damage and all that is towards the top and the middle side of the talent tree, while at the bottom is probably where things get a little bit more interesting. And as an overall thing, you just get more buttons. You have a lot of traps. You can get the trap build, you get serpent stings, you can get the explosive shot. What barrage? The death chakram as well, which seems to be probably way better than Stampede. Once again, the third or maybe fourth expansion in a row where Stampede has been left out. Obviously, you know, as always, alpha numbers are subject to change, but even still, after so long, Stampede seems to do almost nothing. It has almost no interaction with your spec. You just fire some beasts out. It would be cool if it can have some like mechanical interactions. Obviously, you can have aesthetic interactions where you can choose whatever pets you shoot out, but right now it seems that it shoots pets based on your zone, based off your environment, so I guess maybe that's a cool thing. But other than that, it's just pets thrown away. Death Chakra might actually be better, since most if not all of the Beast Mastery damage is physical, so obviously Death Chakram will complement that very nicely. And on the left hand side you do have the Steel Trap, which for another extra button, especially a capstone, I don't know if it's particularly worth it. It does add bleed. It might just be for PvP, I am not 100% sure, although Alpha Predator, which is something that you're getting from the Survival Hunter, seems nice. 2 charges of Kill Command does 3% increased damage, as opposed to the Killer Instinct that you probably would have had by now that does more execute damage, which, I mean, maybe that's great, but as a counter offer, you have 2 charges for the entire time, not just an execute, and you have 30% more damage, while the kill command execute buff is just 50%. So who knows? I would bet my money on Alpha Predator. Serpent Sting is a little bit weird. It doesn't really interact with anything that you have in your kit, but it can be an interesting addition, another layer of things to do and manage. If you take Serpent Sting and maybe even take a latent poison, that can give you something to do, something else to manage, since this is kind of how Beast Mastery is nowadays. You have a couple of things that you manage and keep up, and that's interesting since it's a pretty simple spec that you play pretty much 100% on the move. You don't have to stop. And with that, we can actually go into the spec tree. The probably only issue I have personally, and I'm gonna get emotional here and you're gonna have to deal with it, because deal with it, whatever, and it's subjective. There are too many nodes with multiple talent point choices, which is shitty on its own, but the fact that the spec has been broken down and the abilities have been broken down into multiple nodes to function that the way that they are now. For instance, I think Bestial Wrath has about 3 talent nodes that you need to pick to be able to make Bestial Wrath work the way it works now, where, you know, you get its reset, you get the extra charges of Barb Shot, and that takes away 5 total talent points to make do. And that seems weird. Not only is 3 nodes, but it's also 5 talent points. So for 10 levels, if you want to make Bestial Wrath work like the way it does now, if you're leveling your beast, BM Hunter, and you want that to happen, for 10 straight levels, or, you know, 10 levels in total, you would be putting points only into Bestial Wrath stuff. So that's, no, I'm not a fan of that, but whatever, I digress. So just to give you an example, and I will compare this with Enhancement, and you will deal with it because Enhancement is one of the best examples of a good talent tree that has almost no downsides. Beast Mastery has 15 nodes that only require 1 point, while Enhancement has 30. You heard that right, 30, that's double. Beast Mastery has 16 nodes with 2 points that, you know, you need to fill in. You don't have to do for all of them, but if you want to progress the tree, you do. If you want to get the full effect, you do. While Enhancement has 8. And just to put the cherry on top, Beast Mastery also has Thrill of the Hunt, or Thrill of the 3-pointer, the way I want to call it. It has 3 points to put into Thrill of the Hunt, and its Enhancement has no nodes that require 3 points, so that's a little bit weird. This brings the, let's say, the spec tree, the spec power that Beast Mastery can put in up to a 50 total talent points possibility of spending, while Enhancement has only 46. And you have so many more choices as Enhancement, and we're not going to talk about how cool it is, that doesn't matter, but the sheer volume of multiple points that you have to do just to kind of feel like you're rebuilding your spec to the way it's functioning right now is completely egregious. Not to mention that about 10 of these talent points can be simply put into flat boring damage increases or percentage damage increases. That just feels lazy, boring, annoying, and sometimes even mandatory. So this, if it were not for this, Beast Mastery would have probably been at the very top as one of the best talent trees designed, because there's a lot of good thing going for it if they could work around this annoying stuff. Because what the spec is trying to accomplish seems particularly interesting, and maybe one example of this that's also kind of an issue. A couple of talents interaction might need to be adjusted in the way that they work, because let's say you do have all the way to the right hand side to the bottom, you have the capstone Bloody Frenzy that says that, you know, Frenzy is supposed to affect all of your summon spells, and it does seem to affect the Call of the Wild pets, but it doesn't seem to affect the Dire Beast pet. So, and I don't know why, because if you do decide to play this playstyle of Bloody Frenzy and you do want to get Dire Beast, that's so out of the way that should be enough of a trade-off to warrant the Dire Beast as well benefiting from Frenzy. So maybe that's something that it's, because from the tooltip it sounds like all of your pets are going to get that bonus, and not all of your pets are going to get that bonus. So maybe this is something that the devs can look into, because that would be a fun aspect of, you know, all of my pets are being buffed, instead of having, okay, this pet is being buffed by that pet is being buffed by the other one. It's just a little bit too much. But with that out of the way, there's some cool things. Wailing Arrow is there, and it's neat, and it is, well, it's a little bit weird because it's all the way to the left hand side. It does a crap ton of damage. It is the legendary bow effect from Sylvanas, and does have a neat utility effect to it as well. It is a long cast time though, and as you're casting it, obviously you're not shooting auto shots, and if you're not shooting auto shots, you don't get those barb shot resets, considering you would probably have Wild Call talented, which is actually all the way on the right hand side of the talent tree. Now if you don't have that talented, then whatever, I suppose it's not a big deal, but I don't really see how you can play an efficient Beast Mastery without Wild Call. If a build evolves from it, then I would be curious to see how it is. Other than that, there's obviously Call of the Wild, which has had different iterations over the course of WoW. I think it was a pet ability back in... it might have been Wrath, I don't know, a 5-minute pet ability that kind of worked similar to Coordinator Assault, but just gives you an increase in damage. But now it just summons a buttload of pets, which on its own might be a particularly shitty cooldown. So if you do take this this particular cooldown, you will likely want to take the capstone as well, and it's a choice node between Wild Instincts and Bloody Frenzy. We talked about Bloody Frenzy, where Frenzy can be applied to all of your summoned pets, while Wild Instincts makes it so that Barb Shot has a 35% chance to gain a charge anytime focus is spent. Doesn't matter how much focus you spend, as long as you spend it. And this kind of concludes the right hand side of the talent tree being very Barb Shot focused. essentially shot focus, essentially let's say damage that you can deal, barb shot, cobra shot, kill command, stuff like that. And a couple of, you know, Bestial Wrath buffers, which is interesting. I mean, a lot of people have different opinions about pets. Obviously, if you're a main BM, you probably don't have any issues with pets, but this is an interesting approach where you do a lot of bleed damage, a lot of barb shots, and by consequence, a lot of resets to Bestial Wrath, since you would probably definitely play Barbed Wrath as you're playing Bestial Wrath, and of course, Scent of Blood as well, which is, it's a 2-pointer, because why wouldn't it be a 2-pointer? And if you scroll down from Scent of Blood, you have Killer Cobra, which is a talent right now for BM in Shadowlands, and Wild Stalker's Piercing Fangs, which is the legendary that's probably seen the most amount of use of BM in Shadowlands, which is basically giving your pet's critical damage increase by 35%. Which, I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, but if you do get this, you definitely want to get the Bestial Wrath, the Barbed Wrath talent that increases the uptime of Bestial Wrath, and with that, you maybe want to get more barb shot talents, and all the pet damage is on the left-hand side, while all the barb shot is on the right-hand side, and maybe this wouldn't be a problem if we didn't have to spend half of the points we have just to get to the points that we want to make a build that we like. This is probably the issue with having so many multiple point spender talent nodes. With that out of the way, on the left-hand side, it's very pet focused. You have Animal Companion and Dire Beast, and a bunch of kill command procs going all the way down to Dire Pack, which is something also that doesn't really work on Alpha. Basically, every 5 Dire Beast summoned increases the cooldown of kill command and reduces the focus cost of your kill command by 50%, which it's, I don't know if this sounds particularly weak, because 5 Dire Beasts, meaning that you're casting Dire Beast 5 times, that's, you know, every 100 seconds, every a minute and a little bit, let's say a minute and a half, you get a free kill command. Considering that you get a lot of kill commands overall, and you might run Alpha Predator as well with 2 charges, I don't know how much value this is, and reduces the cooldown of kill commands. I guess this feels like a single target focus build, because kill command obviously does single target, although you do have Kill Cleave, which I didn't mention, which is all the way up the top, while you go from Bestial Cleave to the right-hand side, you have Kill Cleave, which makes kill command cleave as well for 50% of the damage. So if you do decide to go this route, you can also get that. And outside of that, if you really look at the Beast Mastery, especially from the general talent tree, you will actually have a lot more buttons to press. There's actually more cooldowns than rotational abilities, but there are definitely cooldowns that you can maintain and have some interesting interactions with. And if, similar to survival, if they can fix the annoyances, like I don't know how they can fix the annoyance of so many points needing to be spent everywhere, maybe add a couple of more interesting nodes, maybe add a couple of conduits, maybe lower the power of the nodes if you only have to spend 1 or something, because it feels like in order for me to get from A to B, I cannot path around stuff, because even if I do path around stuff, I still have to sink so many points in some nodes, and I feel like just if enhancement can do it, why cannot BM do it? And obviously it doesn't have to be the same talent tree, but Jesus Christ, double the amount of nodes are single nodes in enhancement, and there's a reason why so many people, if not every enhancement in the world, loves the enhancement talent tree, and I haven't heard that many good things about BM. But this is kind of the first impression of Beast Mastery. Similar to the other Hunter specs, this looks like it's going to get a little bit more work. It's looking better than the initial release, but we'll see exactly where it's going to go in the beta and close to live release. But if it does fix pretty much all of these issues, which are not that many, it's looking like BM can change from a spec of like the meme 3-button spec to actually being a spec that has a simple rotation but a lot of things to manage, and what things you manage will be up to you. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you liked it. Thank you, dear patrons, for supporting our content. And once again, if you do like this type of stuff that we do, dear viewer, and you want to support us a little bit more, give a little back, or you know, the way they say it, you can check the Patreon page down below in the description for the link and get, you know, see the tiers, see the wallpaper rewards and all that good stuff. Thank you for watching the video. See you next time.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.